So yes, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on this lovely day, and we are finally going to talk to you about these hedgehog survey results. So I know that we had planned it for earlier, but we were kind of waiting on a bit of the analysis of the results, and we wanted to do it properly, so we delayed it a bit. But we finally have a few bits and pieces to tell you about, so it's very exciting. So this talk will be, some of you have come to these talks before, and they're usually the same format. We try and talk for about 30 minutes, try not to talk too much at you. And then we have about half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour at the end where we can chat and answer questions. So if you do have any questions that you're thinking about along the way, you can stick them in the chat. And if not, you can ask them in person at the end. So yes. Thank you. So we're here to talk about our lovely hedgehogs, and basically why we're studying hedgehogs and wanted to look at hedgehogs is because we don't know a lot about them. We don't know a lot about their density and abundance and distribution across Ireland in general, which is why there's this little question mark. So they are classed as data deficient. And that doesn't mean that nothing is wrong. That basically means that we just don't know. So we don't have enough data to answer all of the questions we want to answer about hedgehogs. So what we did kind of know in the past, so there's been a lot of work done in England and Scotland and Wales on this species. And what we've kind of heard is that they've declined hugely. So that's the kind of impression we've got from hedgehogs, but we didn't really know if the situation was the same in Ireland. But some of you might have seen the most recent report that came out. Now, this was the state of hedgehog populations in Britain, so in England, Scotland, and Wales. And this was really, really interesting. They have a long data set going all the way back to the 80s. And basically what they were able to tell us was that hedgehogs have declined. So we kind of were thinking that anyway. But this was quite an important study in that they said that hedgehog density, so the amount of hedgehogs in an area, has decreased a lot, but this kind of changes depending on the habitat. So they found a massive difference between rural and urban populations. So in some areas across England, Scotland and Wales, the hedgehog population has declined by as much as 3/4, and in some just has declined a bit less than that. So it's varied across the country, with kind of the southeast England having the biggest decline. But they have also found that in our urban populations, that some of the hedgehogs have some of the populations have remained steady. And also in some small areas, they've started to recover. So it's quite an interesting thing. We're not 100% sure why, but it's an interesting relationship. And this is kind of anecdotally what we think is happening in Ireland, but we don't know because we haven't had the data. We're not 100% sure. So this is what we kind of had from Ireland, so from Northern Ireland. These were the CEDAR results. So this kind of shows you roughly a lot of the hedgehog sightings over the years. It doesn't really tell you anything about abundance or how many there are, but it gives us a bit of a rough idea kind of where the populations are across Northern Ireland. There also is something we have to think about when we're looking at maps like this, and that's that quite often we get more records around the population centres. That doesn't always mean that there are more of that species around that area. It sometimes just means that there's more people and more people recording. So that's something we always have to take into consideration. So why are hedgehogs declining? What has been the problem? I know I've done a general talk on hedgehogs before and went through this and how you can help them and things, but I'll just briefly kind of go through this. So agricultural intensification is definitely a huge one. So the way we've changed our farming practices has massively impacted hedgehogs. Now, this has impacted hedgehogs for two reasons. One of those being the removal of habitat, so the removal of hedgerows. And the second one is basically the amount of pesticides and things that are being used and killing off their food source. So that basically causes us two problems. It means hedgehogs have not enough food to eat, and it also means that hedgehogs don't have enough places to nesting and hibernating. So they are massive problems caused by our changing in farming practices. Our other one is tidy gardens. We hate to see fake grass. We hate to see tidy gardens because basically all this does is decrease the amount of food available for hedgehogs. And also what it does is it kind of keeps them enclosed and it stops them moving around. Hedgehogs have to move quite far in an evening to be able to find the food that they need. And with us kind of concreting and building walls and things around the place, it means they cannot move around. Slug pellets are also a hedgehog's enemy, so we've changed the way we garden. Hedgehogs would have been natural pest control, but now we put down slug pellets. They unfortunately poison a slug. A hedgehog will eat a slug and then unfortunately die from that. So that is a real issue. We all know that we see hedgehogs dead on the road. Unfortunately, this is just a major problem and they're not adapted to deal with a car. We know they roll into a ball and that is not a good defense mechanism against our roads. Now this one here represents predation. Now, there's not that many things that will predate on hedgehogs. Badgers are one of them. Basically, they have one of the few mammals that kind of have teeth that will be able to deal with a hedgehog's spine. Foxes occasionally, and also pet cats and pet dogs. Pet cats are more likely to take little baby hedgehogs who take the hoglets when they're in the nest. There's some evidence that badgers have an impact on hedgehogs, but we haven't really seen it, and we don't have that evidence here in Northern Ireland, so we can't really say that they massively affect the populations. Really, the habitat and the food is our major issue here. So what did we want to find out? We launched the Irish Hedgehog Survey alongside NUI Galway, and we wanted to find out a few things. Now, when we launched it last year, it was around last April time, we had a huge response, and that basically showed us how much people love hedgehogs, which is wonderful. Between us and NUI Galway are running it in the Republic of Ireland, we had about 3,000 people sign up. That is total madness, and we've never had a response like that for any of our other species, so it's wonderful. We made lots of news, we made some TV programmes, our tunnels were on Winter Watch with Megan McCubbin, which was wonderful, so we had a big reach with it, and it made a huge impact. But why were we doing it and what did we want to find? So there are three main things we were looking for. We wanted to find out hedgehog distribution across Ireland. We wanted to find out density, and we wanted to find out abundance. So distribution is much easier to figure out by our sightings. Our density and abundance are much more difficult. So density slightly easier, but you need a longer data set, and that kind of tells you how many hedgehogs are in an area. But our abundance is the most difficult thing, and it's kind of what we would really love to find out. And that would basically tell us, there's 1 million hedgehogs in Ireland, or there's 10,000 hedgehogs in Ireland. That's a number we don't know. And that's why we need to continually collect this data basically to find that out. So what did we do last year to be able to find out this? So we had three survey methods. The first one was just casual recording. So we asked people to just submit records. Now this started in 2020. The survey itself was supposed to launch in 2020, but of course our old friend COVID had an impact on that. So the record started in 2020. So that was the first thing, the basic thing. If you didn't want to take part in a survey, just tell us if you'd seen a hedgehog. Number two was our garden survey and questionnaire. So we asked people at home to put out a footprint tunnel or use a camera trap. And we were amazed by the amount of people that have their own camera traps. I'm sure some of you guys have your own camera traps, which is wonderful. And filling out a questionnaire all about their garden. And then there was the bigger survey. So this was basically 10 tunnels in a large area. So I have a couple of questions for you before we go on. Ross, if you could launch that first poll for me. This is just the first basic question based on our kind of number one, which is the casual recording. And it's, have you ever seen a hedgehog in your garden?
That's it.
Excellent. I used to see hedgehogs all the time, and I lived in Bangor, and then I moved to Fermanagh, and I never saw hedgehogs. I've moved back east. I'm hoping there's hedgehogs. My neighbours have told me there's hedgehogs, so I need to wait and see this year if we get them. I'm gonna be jealous of all you people that have seen them in your garden.
Couple more seconds where nearly everyone's participated. Oh, someone else just hit there last minute. I'm just going to end it now. Can you see
Thank
that?
you. It's not coming up on my screen.
What about now?
You can. No, you can tell me what it says. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why I can't see it. But...
Sometimes Zoom doesn't play ball. Well, we have, unfortunately, the largest answer. 42% of people said no, they don't have hedgehogs in their garden.
Okay.
But 34% say yes, and 24% say yes regularly. So that's brilliant.
Brilliant. So a quarter of you regularly have hedgehogs in your garden, which I'm very jealous of. Now we're going to ask you another question, please. Poll number 2. And that is, did you take part in our survey? I will know. So there was different ones. I know. I'll get you to do one. Hopefully some of you did it, and that's why you're here to listen to the results, but maybe not.
There we go. Nearly everyone there has responded. So can you see that now? Can you see the results?
No.
Technology is great when it works. So we have 10% submitted a record, 15% did a survey in your garden. No one did the local area survey, and 85% didn't carry out a survay. So we're talking to new people to talk and engage.
Well, that's good. With. I'll get you roped in. Perfect. Thank you very much for that. It's just interesting to find out. So the first thing, we got people to submit sightings, like we said. So this is the website. We took sightings from both the National Biodiversity Data Centre in the Republic of Ireland and CEDAR in Northern Ireland, and we combined all of these. So there's also a link to that on our website where you can go and submit your hedgehog sightings. Now, this was really interesting. We had 5,000 records in 2020 and 2021 of hedgehogs. That is massive. So thank you to everyone that did submit a record. This gives us a really nice picture of hedgehogs. And basically, before this project started, the majority of the sightings that came in were of dead hedgehogs. And since this project, the majority of them now are of live hedgehogs. So that's really good. We're actually getting people out and actually seeing them. I think COVID definitely had a part to play. People were at home more. People were looking at what was in their gardens more. And that meant, I think, a lot of people were like, oh, I never knew I had hedgehogs. So that was really nice. But yeah, we're asking people to do that. Please do that again in 2022. So even if you submitted one last year, that doesn't matter. We really want to know. So yeah, this is it, just basically zoomed in of Northern Ireland. So this is just year 1. Year 1 and year 2. We've still got year 3 to go. So what we're kind of asking is people to kind of fill those survey gaps. You can see there's a lot of people recording around kind of Bangor, Belfast area, but there's a lot of gaps up here kind of north and west. So if you do have a hedgehog out there, we really want to know about it. So please put your record in, because it gives us a really good idea, because you know, obviously it could be that there aren't that many hedgehogs, and that's kind of maybe likely there aren't that many hedgehogs out there, but it could also just be that people aren't recording it. So it would be really useful if anyone's out there to submit your records. So the 2020 sightings have also been analysed. So this is really interesting, just to show that the green ones here are all of live hedgehogs. So that's just really lovely. And you know, we're just so used to seeing them dead on the road, but it's just lovely to see that there's a big percentage of them are live. The red ones are roadkill, unfortunately. You can see there in 2020 there weren't as many records in Northern Ireland, and that was before we partnered with it. So it was very good. We got a lot of sightings in 2021 after we kind of made that partnership with the survey. But yeah, lots of interesting ones and lots of live hedgehogs, which is what we want to see. So the other part of the survey was footprint tunnels. So what we asked people to do, I know some of you will know this if you did it already or you listened to our talk before, was to look in your garden and use a footprint tunnel. So this is kind of what it looks like. These are some very, very cute little hedgehog feet. And basically we use a non-toxic dye and we put some food in the middle, and the hedgehog basically goes in and it goes out the other side or back the way, and it makes little footprints. Hedgehog footprints are really, really distinctive. They look like little hands, and they've normally got 5 toes in the back and 4 in the front. And yeah, it's easy to tell what you've got. It also gives us lots of information on what else is there, you know, rats, mice, you might get, you know, I think they had a stoat in one. We definitely had a pine marten in one in Fermanagh, which was interesting. So lots of different things, and it's a lovely way to involve your family, and it's exciting going out in the morning and seeing what little footprints are there. So this footprint tunnel gets left in your garden for 7 nights and checked every day. So we had some great fun last year with lots and lots of workshops making these. These are all made out of old election posters. So we collected a lot of this corrugated plastic and did a lot of footprint tunnel making, which was good fun. And here is some of them in action. So on the left there, that is Eve on one of our nature reserves. And then this is my friend's daughter in her garden, who got a hedgehog and I've never seen someone so excited in her life. So now has a hedgehog house. Every single thing she got for Christmas had a hedgehog on it. So we have a hedgehog fan, which is wonderful. Oh, it's going. So yeah, this was basically the survey in action. What did we get? So these are the amount of surveys that were done. So anyone that did a survey in Northern Ireland, this was really good, really good. We actually had quite a high percentage of garden surveys compared to the whole of Ireland. So there was a lot of people and were very keen to do this. Again, we've got a little bit of a bias towards the east of the country, so we'd like to get a lot more done out the west. But basically, we would ask you between May and September, if you want to do this in your garden, it would be wonderful. We have lots of guidance on how to make your own footprint tunnel. There you can make it out of all sorts of different things. Even we've got guidance on just how to make it out of a cardboard box. So you can buy them as well, but it's a fun thing to get kids to do, or if you fancy doing it yourself and getting a footprint tunnel out, that would be great. So this is a lovely little video. I put this tunnel out in my mum's garden. Again, a very excited grown woman for having a hedgehog. Was having a little scratch and put the trail camera out, and it was just nice to see them kind of going in. Sometimes they're a bit funny with it, but sometimes they look for like snails and things that are on the inside, and they like to have a little munch of the snails they're in there first. So yeah, they are very effective and a good way of surveying. What did we find from these surveys? So you can see quite a big spread there across Ireland, but quite a lot done in the north, like I said before. So you can see the green ones where hedgehogs were found, and the red were where they weren't. So there was 162 surveys carried out across the whole island. 54 of those did not find hedgehogs, and 94 did find hedgehogs. Then 8 people were unsure, where they just didn't know if they found a hedgehog or not, basically. So that's quite interesting. We can see here, you know, 2/3 basically found hedgehogs. Now, that's not to say that 2/3 of gardens have hedgehogs. We can't take that. This is just, you know, the first year this has been done, so we're not entirely sure. We also think there was a slight bias on the people that got involved. The questionnaire was very useful because it allowed us to analyse basically how often people do see hedgehogs, and about 70% of the people that did this survey already knew they had hedgehogs in their garden. So I think that's maybe skewed the results slightly. So what we would definitely ask this year is for everyone to just do it, not if you just think you've hedgehogs, even if you might not have hedgehogs, because as we know, people have discovered hedgehogs and they didn't know they have them. But if you don't find a hedgehog, it's also equally important. So again, there might be some people that didn't find a hedgehog and then didn't record it because they didn't think it was important. But it's very, very important even if you didn't find one. So yeah, but it's, our first results, and it's interesting to know that a lot of people were finding hedgehogs, so that's great. We had a little look at as well, just comparing rural to urban, just because of all the data that's come out across the water. So you can see here the rural compared to basically the city, town and village would be combined to make an urban environment. So we can see that our hedgehogs were found much more readily in urban environments. But again, this could be a little bit of a sway towards who did the survey. So we won't really know until we have another year of data this year. So the next part was the larger survey, and this was called the local area survey. Basically what we did was we had 10 tunnels out in a 1 kilometre square, and these were checked for 5 days. So this is a lovely picture of the tunnels that went out at Oxford Island last year, and a lovely little map so you can kind of see how they're spaced out and things. And yeah, we had issues because of COVID and Brexit last year getting all our equipment, so we didn't get as many tunnels out as we would have liked, so not as many surveys got done. We also had lots of issues of Belfast City Council giving us permission, and we had lots of wonderful people willing to do the survey in Belfast, and it didn't happen. So those are all things we need to work through this year because we really want to do more of these. So you can see there's definitely not as many of these done. They need, more commitment basically. So we'd ask anyone, if anyone has, a lot of land, or even get together with your neighbours and do this, and do the 10 tunnels in an area. You can let us know. We supply the equipment for this. So for the garden one, because there's so many people do it and involved, we can't give everyone a tunnel. But if you are willing to do the big survey with the 10 tunnels, we can tell you how to do it, give you the equipment, and then we'll be able to get it back off you. So there were 112 surveys carried out overall. We surveyed a few of our nature reserves, which was lovely for us to find out. So we did Bog Meadows, we did Baloo, and we did Slieve na Cloy. So we did not think there were hedgehogs at Bog Meadows, and we got a hedgehog 3 nights in a row. So that just shows you it's really interesting. It was really nice to see that. At our Baloo wetlands, we also got a hedgehog, which was a slight surprise to us. We didn't get hedgehogs at Slieve na Cloy, but we kind of predicted that because it's a little bit more upland. But it's full of surprises, and it's very interesting to find this information out. Oh, and I'll just say about Oxford Island, where we surveyed, we got no hedgehogs at all. And then a week later, one of the volunteers saw a hedgehog walking through the site. So you never know. That was an interesting one for us, but I think that just means we need to do the site again. So that's good. So out of these 112, 45% of them found hedgehogs. So that's quite a high percent. Now, when this was done, this methodology was designed by Nottingham Trent University, and this was done in England before, and they found 39% had hedgehogs. So a wee bit lower, but kind of similar. But, again, we won't know that total figure until after this year and after the survey's finished. But again, we won't have much data unless some people help us out. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a few more of these done. And again, we'd love to fill some of the survey gaps. So kind of, south, northwest, a lot of the places. The east, normally we get a lot more coverage, and because our office and equipment is in Belfast, it's easier to give it out to people. But yeah, if anyone could do one this year, it would be wonderful. So we had a little look at this as well, and about the land use. So the majority of these surveys were done on agricultural land. Those nature reserves there, probably all of the ones we did. This is not too surprising, seeing agriculture makes up the majority of land in Ireland. So it doesn't say too much, but it was also interesting to see that the fact whether hedgehogs were absent or present, the land just basically didn't make a difference. There was no significant difference between this. Now, we probably need more data to say that for sure, but that actually is quite interesting on the wider scale. So we think it's maybe slightly different in these larger sites than it is for gardens. But again, we need some more data to be able to help us with that. So what are we doing next? We are going to repeat this survey, as I said, so you can sign up on our website and on the Irish Hedgehog Survey website. If you sign up through Ulster Wildlife, you'll basically get an automatic email that'll tell you everything. There's also a video there of a webinar we did before talking you through all the methodologies. So if you're interested, you can watch that. It'll also mean you're signed up to the list. So anything that comes out about this survey, you'll hear about it. So if we're going to run a workshop, if we're going to do another talk or anything like that, you'll hear about it. So it runs from the 1st of May. We'll be launching it kind of the end of April. Everyone will get an email to say that it's launched, and it'll run till the end of September. So basically any time in those months, you're welcome to carry out a survey. There's a few other things the university are looking at. NUI Galway want to look at looking at density. So they're going to trial a method which is basically random encounter modelling using camera traps, all a bit complicated. But basically, they put out lots of cameras in an area and use all these distant methods to basically estimate how many hedgehogs are basically in that place, because that's basically quite hard to tell. So they're going to try and look at that. So there might be some data coming out about that soon. They want to look at predator-prey interactions. So this is another thing. We talked about badgers. We get a lot of anecdotal evidence that badgers are impacting hedgehog populations, but we don't really know. There's some small evidence from England, and that's because badger densities are much higher and the landscape's different. So we can't really apply that to Ireland. It's totally different. So they want to have a look in some places and see if that's possible. We will have a small research project running. I think Chloe might be on this talk. I won't embarrass her here, but she'll be joining us to do our MSc project in May. And this is just a small project which is looking at the effectiveness of using tunnels. So what we want to see is how often do hedgehogs actually go up to the tunnel, but they don't go in, to show how effective our survey method is. One of the students from NUI Galway got a picture of a hedgehog sleeping beside the tunnel. So it was having a little nap just beside the tunnel. So there you go. But yeah, we want to kind of see how useful they are in using them. So that is all of it, really, what we know so far. This cute little hedgehog face is asking you to please sign up to the survey with its little sad eyes. Please help us. So yeah, please do. If all you want to do is put in a record, that's wonderful. But if you want to do a survey, that's also great. So before I finish, we have a whole series of these talks. If you missed any of them, you should have got an email, and they're all on our YouTube page. Now that's just for members. And if you've signed up, I think you can get access to them all. But we have another one next week, and that's on Monday night. And that will be our peatlands team with Roisin and I think Simon as well, talking about peatland restoration. So that'll be very good. So thank you to everyone, all of our members, basically, to start. I know some of you aren't members, so thank you for coming along. Please become a member if you're not a member. But we really do appreciate your membership. All of your membership money goes into our work. So all of this conservation work we do, it's all local conservation in Northern Ireland, and that's what your membership money goes into. So thank you very much for supporting us, basically. So I will stop sharing, and then we can have a chat and answer some questions, if there are any.
There was a couple of questions asked earlier on, but nothing, it was before your talk really started. There was a question about hedgehogs in the Outer Hebrides and about how they're actually causing a problem in the Outer Hebrides, which is off the coast of Scotland.
Okay.
Because they eat the ground nesting birds' eggs. But I believe there was a project trying to translocate those hedgehogs back to Britain, although it's a big, big task. But I believe they're trying to do that. Yeah,
I mean, hedgehogs, basically, they mainly eat invertebrates, so that'll make up the most of their diet. So beetles, centipedes, earthworms, slugs, all sorts of things, but they have been known to eat birds' eggs as well. They like meaty stuff. They'll even eat a dead bird if it's in front of them and they get the notion. So ground nesting birds can be a problem. We don't have high enough densities for it to cause a major issue, but it is something that we need to be aware of. And obviously hedgehogs did not belong in the Outer Hebrides, and someone brought them there, and that is why they had such a devastating impact. So it just shows the problem really with moving species around and things. But as Ross says, there is an ongoing project there, or was already done. I think they might have been eradicated already, unfortunately.
They're all gone.
Yes, I think they might be gone.
Not up
Desi's asking, are there any troublemakers? Yes.
Yeah. Graham has asked, should we be beginning to see hedgehogs out and about again now after their winter hibernation?
Yes, you are. You should basically now. So we normally say March time. It always depends on the weather, but this week I would say is the perfect time for things to be waking up. Everything's coming to life with this kind of little warm spell. And the most important thing for hedgehogs when they wake up out of hibernation is food and water. So especially when it's hot like this, they get dehydrated very easily. So leaving out water is the main thing. Even if you don't put out food, they can do with a little bit of supplementary feeding. The best thing for them to eat is really their natural food, insects. But they do like a meaty food, so a cat or dog food, or you can buy specific hedgehog food. Be careful with that. Hedgehog food's not regulated. Sometimes it has strange things in it that you shouldn't give to hedgehogs, like mealworms. They shouldn't have them, and sometimes it's in hedgehog food, which is strange. And they also shouldn't have milk. But yes, around March time is when they wake up.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to Jen, who's saying that she's keen to find out if there's hedgehogs in her school environmental garden, and she's going to go off and build some tunnels to see what the children can find, which is wonderful.
Thank you for that. Sorry,
go on.
No, I was just going to say there's lots of information on our website. So go on there, and also on the Irish Hedgehog Survey website. I think they actually did a lovely little video of them making tunnels and things like that you could show to the children.
I will put those links in the chat very shortly. Lisa is asking, can we find the maps with the activity online somewhere?
Not yet. This is an exclusive, guys, for you. So not yet. This is the only time. It's literally just been finished like this week. So not yet, but it'll hopefully be coming out soon. That's down to NUI Galway really when we decide, when they decide to publish it. But yes, you've got an exclusive here.
There is an old map from Cedar about hedgehogs being a priority species and having records in, but it's very sparse and it's not up to date. So there is a map there, but this is the place to be to find out. And next year we'll have more up to date information.
Also, the State of Britain's Hedgehog Report is online. So if you Google that and want to find out more about what they found, it's lots of good information in it.
Is there a link from the website to the YouTube channel? I don't believe so. I think what will happen is after this talk, and whenever we've processed the footage, we'll upload it to YouTube, and you'll be emailed out a link if you signed up to this talk, so you can get onto it.
Yeah.
These talks are for members only, so you have to have that special link. If you can't access the other talks but wish to, you can email somebody in the office and they can sort you out.
Yeah, sure. I think so. I think there's a few non-members here, because I think you can pay if you're not a member for the talk.
Of course.
Yes, but yeah, I think you should all get the link.
I had a hedgehog regularly in my garden for 25 years. Even my wee Westie didn't put it off my garden back onto a field. 5 years ago, this house was built in the field behind us and not seen a hedgehog since. That's from Jane. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a shame. And we were just actually talking about this in the office earlier, because hedgehogs are not one of our, well, they're kind of protected, but they're not one of the ones you need to survey for when you're developing things, which is a real shame. But yeah, basically change of habitat, if there's not that corridor, if the hedgerows go, if the land goes for them to move through, that, there's nowhere for them to go. But that also shows us, and all this data is showing us, the importance of our gardens. Like there's something like 1.8 million gardens in the UK, right? That is just huge. If you add up all of our gardens, it's a bigger area than our nature reserves. And when you actually think of it like that, you kind of have your own little nature reserve that you're responsible for and that you can make a huge difference for, So leaving your garden wild and doing lots of things like that hopefully will help our little hedgehogs. Also getting together with your neighbours, they travel quite far, so making little hedgehog holes in the fence and things so they can move around.
Not a question, but from Desi, I have trail cam footage of a badger and a hedgehog sharing the same feeding area because there was plenty of food on offer. The badger showed no interest in the hog. We have some. Is that Desi's picture that we have?
No, we have more. We have, I think, you, Desi, I think you've sent me something, and we have 2 other members. So I think 3 photos I have seen of gardens in Northern Ireland of both hedgehogs and badgers in that garden eating beside each other, which is lovely. And I always show that in my other talks and say, look, stop blaming the badgers for everything. So yeah, I think it is quite rare. Obviously, of course, the problem is the more and more we push out wildlife and make them more vulnerable and take away their food source, the hungrier they get and the more they have to resort to eating other things. So basically, the more we help wildlife in general, we can, do lots for all of these species, and hopefully badgers will not have to resort to eating all of our hedgehogs.
It's important to note that badgers and hedgehogs actually eat the same thing, don't they? They eat grubs and worms and beetles and all the rest of it. So if there's plenty of their natural food source, they don't need to compete with each other in that way. So
basically
restoring our wider landscape, probably an easier solution. Okay. One other one's just come through there. Graham has said, I had maybe a dozen visits in my garden late at night from last July through October. I wasn't expecting to see a hedgehog for signing up for the survey, but I was buzzing to find I had a spiky friend and I'll be keeping an eye out for the return of the hog over the past couple of weeks. Oh, class.
Oh, that's so good. I'm very jealous of that. That's wonderful.
Signing up to the survey, and it's good to see that people looking in the garden to see what wildlife they have, and hopefully our hedgehogs be waking up soon, visiting us all again.
That's really good. I see someone was asking for subtitles. I hope that wasn't because you couldn't understand me. I was talking too fast, but sorry. You should hopefully, be able to put on subtitles, as Ross says, when you listen to it back if you want. Anyone else got anything more? I mean, there's lots of information. All the methodologies and things are on the website. If you do want to email either myself or Ross, Ross will put our emails in the chat there. You can do that, and we can kind of, give you more information. But definitely, if you want to do the local area survey and the big survey, please email us and get in touch, and we'll arrange. We can pick a site together and arrange getting the tunnels out to you and everything. And again, we might do a workshop in some areas where we'll build tunnels. This is all COVID depending. We build tunnels and give out equipment. So yeah, I see someone's asking, why is milk bad? Hedgehogs are basically lactose intolerant. I don't know. They just are. It's the way they're built. So yeah, lactose intolerant, which is a strange one. It gives them very bad diarrhea, and then they lose a lot of their body weight, and it's really dangerous for them. So yeah, strange one. I don't know. Would you suggest circulating your links? Yeah, definitely. We can put up a link. We'll probably do that. We'll be launching, when we launch the survey at the end of April, Ulster Wildlife, you'll see it all over our social media channels. So links to all the surveys and everything will go out then for the survey starting in May. So we will be having a lot out about that. There'll probably be a press release. There might be some media around the results and things. And you can be like, I heard that ages ago. So yeah, that'll hopefully come out end of April when we launch the survey.
Yeah, if you can't do the survey, if you want to do the survey, but unfortunately for whatever reason you can't, sharing our social media posts and sharing other people's social media posts about the survey, promote the survey and get the message out there. We need as many people to do it as possible, so we get as much data as we can, so we can help look after our hedgehogs if indeed we need help look after them.
Yes, please. Well, thank you very much for that. Everyone's probably had enough of, they're all sunstroke today from that tropical heat. Need a break. So yeah, if you've any more questions, you can, drop us an email or whatever. We're always there. And yeah, thank you very much. And I hope I see you all doing your hedgehog surveys and see all your results all over the place, and you emailing me lovely videos of hedgehogs and everything. So thank you.
I get the emails for the sign up, so people have already signed up in the last 5 minutes. So thank you very much to everybody.
Well done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.